So, a little while ago, I managed to face reveal myself in an act of monumental stupidity. I don't actually regret doing it. In hindsight, it feels like a good move, but one of the consequences of me doing this is that it's kind of revealed something about me that I've kept hidden all this time, and now that it's public, I want to address it so people know what's going on. The reality is I'm chronically unwell. The whole time I've run this YouTube channel, I've dealt with health problems that cause me constant pain and are visibly disfiguring. And this was the reason I'd never really show myself aside from that Easter egg in an anomaly video. I felt that I couldn't. It never had anything to do with being anonymous. It was just this health issue I had. For most of my life, I've been dealing with severe dust allergies. I get a mix of symptoms, but the main way it affects me is constant inflammation around my eyes. And you only have to watch me to see that I'm in a lot of discomfort. And even worse, it's disfiguring. I feel uncomfortable watching myself. And this is something in particular that's been getting a lot worse throughout this year. I'm on pretty strong medication for it now. It's not working very well. You just have to look at me to see that. I'm going to see another specialist after a very long stint on a waiting list, but either way, it's not going to be getting better anytime soon. The sort of treatments I'm looking at will take months to properly take effect, and in all likelihood, this may well get worse before it gets better. And despite how bad it may look, this is a long way from the worst my health has been, so it definitely can get worse. I was probably at my absolute worst in 2019 and 2020. There are scars around my eyes from the inflammation I had at the time. It was that bad. It's always a bit hard to remember exactly what things were like a couple of years ago. I at least do find I'm good at forgetting misery and suffering and remembering positive aspects of my life, and I've got good memories of 2019, particularly from my work colleagues back then, even if I definitely couldn't be described as happy at the time. But I also remember being terrified each time I drive my car back from the station after work that I'd crash because the pain I was in was making me clumsy. And I've got a lot of memories of working on specific videos and just wanting to cry because my eyes were hurting that much. And I actually cancelled a holiday to Europe to attend the Berlin Major, which I had backstage access for as well, simply because I was feeling so unwell and just didn't want to go anywhere or just be seen. Now, one of the real problems I had at the time was that I struggled to find a doctor who would take it seriously. This is a common problem I think a lot of people experience. I don't have a point about victimhood or anything like that to make here, but I just had a lot of trouble finding a doctor who would take my problem seriously. So for most of this time, I didn't know what my health issue was. It was very obvious something was in my eyes. I was in constant pain, but I didn't know what it was and I had no idea what to do about it, or even if I could do anything about it. And this lasted until late 2020 when I had the idea to find the most expensive private practice in my local area to see if they'd take things more seriously. They did, but I got a diagnosis within about 5 minutes and I was able to be in treatment at that time. And to some extent, it worked. Or at least it did work while I was in Canberra. But since then, I've moved back to Sydney. Sydney is much more humid. That is bad if you've got dust allergies. And I've been having worse and worse problems all year. There are things that can be done about it, but they aren't quick and easy solutions. I'm looking at stuff that will take months at the very least. And the reality is I'm probably going to be battling this on and off my entire life. Now, I guess people might be wondering whether I'm going to take time off because of this or why I haven't in the past. The reality is that these kinds of health issues I've got won't get better if I take time off. Whether I work or not, it'll make no difference. It's just not the sort of thing that's affected by the work I do. And like a lot of people, I find my work incredibly fulfilling, and removing it from my life would only have negative effects. It is increasingly common to see people take things like mental health breaks, things like that these days. I'm supportive of people who do that. I don't think there should be any shame or stigma in needing to step away and take times off from things, but this is definitely something that wouldn't personally help me. For me, the solution is just to keep on fighting. What cannot be changed must be endured, and the best thing to do is try and live a normal life as much as I can, and not let a health problem take that away from me.